And the American Indian Cultural Center and Museum has moved another step closer to completion. A vote by the Oklahoma City Council clears the way for a long-delayed project to finally become what its backers envisioned, a place to share the culture, art, and history of Oklahoma's 39 federally recognized tribes.
It's a project that has had a long and at times tortured history. A decade after ground was broken on the banks of the Oklahoma River, the American Indian Cultural Center and Museum is still little more than an empty shell. The state has spent about $90 million on the project, but construction came to a halt 5 years ago when state money ran out. Now, that's all about to change.
Cast your votes. Passed unanimously.
The Oklahoma City Council this week approved 3 measures that clear the way for completion and operation of the museum and development of the land around the project. The measures grew out of legislation passed by state lawmakers 2 years ago to turn over responsibility for the center to Oklahoma City. City Manager Jim Couch says that plan very nearly foundered.
We were probably close to the point of rejecting the state's proposal when the Chickasaw Nation stepped up and offered us $14 million to help fund operations and to provide support for the completion costs of the AICCM over the $65 million budget.
The measures establish a framework for completing the project involving city, state, and tribal officials and the Native American Cultural and Educational Authority. Under the agreement, the Chickasaw Nation will play a key role in future development, as well as cover any deficits in operating the museum during its first 7 years.
I'm confident this project would not be moving forward and have a path to further success if it wasn't for the involvement of the Chickasaw Nation at this point in time.
James Pepper Henry, the newly hired director of the museum, believes it will provide a huge economic boost for the city and the state.
There's no doubt in my mind that once we open that this facility will more than pay for itself, probably 5 or 6-fold with the sales tax revenue that this center is going to generate.
Pepper Henry says the impact the Cultural Center will have on Oklahoma City is comparable to what he's seen happen with the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas.
The impact of Crystal Bridges in Bentonville since they opened has been a 38% increase in sales tax revenue in Bentonville alone. We have incredible architecture with this facility, and we're going to have world-class visitor amenities as part of the visitor experience, and also incredible native art and history. And I think that's going to attract people from all over the world.
Blake Wade, the executive director of the Native American Cultural and Educational Authority, says another boost will come in the form of a market for Oklahoma Indian artists, similar to the Indian market that takes place each August in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
All of our Oklahoma artists that have been going out to Santa Fe, once they're able to come here, and we have an Indian market like that here out at this site, I'm telling you, it will pay dividends like we've never seen before.
Once the museum is finished, visitors will be able to explore the art and culture of Oklahoma's 39 tribes. Pepper Henry helped to forge an alliance between the Cultural Center and the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. that will return artifacts representing Oklahoma tribes to the state.
The National Museum of the American Indian has an incredible collection of objects from Oklahoma that were collected around the turn of the 20th century from just about every tribe in Oklahoma. And the great thing about that is we're bringing those objects back to Oklahoma.
People driving by the center will start to notice progress next month when crews begin installing glass in the Hall of the People, perhaps the most iconic feature of the museum.
If you've ever seen longhouses, traditional longhouses, this looks like the framework from the inside of a longhouse, or even traditional plains teepee, the lodge poles. And so it's kind of reminiscent of some of the traditional structures of some of the tribes that are here in Oklahoma.
Construction will resume in earnest next spring, although Pepper Henry says there will likely be some changes to the original design, depending on funding.
We'll have all the exhibits open, we'll have the cafe open, we'll have the gift shop open, all of those things, but to get some of the other things that we had in the original vision, like the theater and the children's space and our changing exhibition space, we need to go out and raise that extra funding, and I'm pretty confident that we can do that in the next 8 to 10 months.
For Blake Wade, completion of the project is long overdue.
As a part of the centennial of Oklahoma in 2007, out of 1,000 projects around the state, this was the only project that was not completed. So I personally am delighted to see that this project is coming to reality.
If all goes as planned, the Cultural Center is set to open to the public in April of 2021.